Alright, hello everyone. Today we're gonna make shiitake and Swiss chard soup with hand-cut noodles. Alright, so now that you got all your ingredients and whatever together, you're gonna get out a huge pot and then you're gonna fill it up with 14 cups of water. After you've added the water, you're gonna combine that with the kombu, or the seaweed stuff, which if you guys don't remember, kind of looked like that. Alright, so once you've added that to the broth, what you're gonna do is you're gonna let it simmer, basically. And you're gonna let it sit there for about 30 minutes. Okay, so the next step is to make the dough. And the dough is super easy. Fit this sort of like hook thing onto the mixer. The next thing is you're gonna get your flour, and you're gonna get 2 cups of all-purpose, like regular flour. And try not to make a mess. That's 1. 2 cups of flour into the mixing bowl. And then get some water. You're gonna get 3/4 of a cup of water. And that is gonna go in there as well. So then, turn this to medium-low, and you're just gonna let that sit for a few minutes until it's all mixed up. And after it's all mixed, you're gonna wanna turn up the level on your mixer or whatever. And then you're just gonna let it sit there for 6 to 10 minutes. It's been about 8 minutes, and so then you're gonna take your dough out of the mixer. You're gonna get some plastic wrap and get that out. Oh gosh, it's stuck. Set it out on the counter or whatever. Put it in the plastic wrap. So then, after your your dough looks like that and is wrapped in plastic, you just let that sit for 30 minutes or however long it takes you to get your broth ready. Alright, so after that has been simmering for about a half an hour, you can take the heat off. And what you're going to do is you're going to pour all of the water through a strainer so that you get rid of all the seaweed flake things. So the next step is to take some of your dried mushrooms and put them in your food processor. Alright, so once you've finished all that and your mushrooms are in a paste, or like finely ground like this, and your water is boiling, what you're going to want to do is take around 6 tablespoons worth of your mushrooms and put them into the boiling water. And just for a reference, this is what the mushrooms look like after being chopped up. After you've added the ground mushrooms, you can then cut the heat, so you take that off, and then cover it for another 30 minutes. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is deal with your fresh mushrooms and your chard. The first thing you want to do is take the stem off with a knife, because apparently it doesn't taste that good. We're going to slice these up now. I guess I'll start on the back, I don't really know. Okay, so this is the chard, and so what you're going to want to do is, there are 2 different things you use it for. So first, the leafy part, which is the big part, you chop coarsely, which is not fine, obviously. And then the second part is the stem, and you finely chop the stem as like sort of a garnish to replace, as we saw in the video, I think it was carrots or something like that. Okay, so here we have the stem, and this is you're gonna coarsely chop. Now that we have those things chopped, hopefully you didn't forget about your broth, like I may or may not have. So after this has steeped or just sat there for 30 minutes after you've taken it off the heat, what you're going to want to do is strain it into a bowl with a strainer, again like you did with the seaweed. And so I'm going to try not to spill this entire thing really quick. This up. So then, what you're going to want to do is pour this broth back into the pot again. Alright, so after you've done that and you have your broth, you're going to want to put 1/4 cup of mirin and 1/2 cup of soy sauce into the broth, which I just did. Alright, so our new broth is finally boiling right there. And so we have the chard and the mushrooms. This is 6 ounces, roughly, of mushrooms going in the pot, as well as the chard. That is basically it. So you can keep it warm if you want, however you want to do it. You want the chard to like cook down a little bit, so you can leave it on super low heat. But that is basically it. Alright, so now that the broth is done, we're going to get out just a little bit of flour. That should be good, I guess. And then we're going to unwrap the dough. Okay, so now that you've got your dough out of your plastic wrap, you're going to roll it out into a 1/8 inch thick piece of dough. The recipe that I'm using says to like cut them out in irregular shapes. I'm not sure that it really matters, but I'm not as good at chopping up lots of noodles, so I'm going to do it the way the recipe says. Cut the noodles out now. The recipe that I'm following just says to sort of go for it and cut them out irregularly. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you're ready to cook the noodles, you can put them back into the broth with the heat. And as you can see, they're not all totally uniform because I didn't, well, that's probably not the best way of doing that. I didn't really chop them evenly, but I'm going to say for a first attempt, they look pretty good to me. So after I took the noodles off of the burner, they look like this. And I think they look pretty good, and these are the chopped pieces of the stem to add like crunch, I guess. And then the recipe told me to serve it with kimchi. So that we got at the same market, and so that's what that looks like. And I drizzled it with honey. Okay, so here I am, about to try the noodle creation that I just made. See if I can. They're actually pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the kimchi really quick too.
The food critic.
Yeah, exactly, the food critic.
Now use your chopsticks, or?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh wow.
Good too.
Kimchi looks great.
If you want to sit down, you can say hi to the camera.
Sure. Okay, here we go. That was good.
It's pretty good.
That was good. Yeah.
For a first attempt, at least.
Wow.
Try some of that too.
Well done.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I want more of that.
Go for it. Hand cut noodles.
Yum.
See at least.
Mm-hmm.